Welcome to SoCal Sports Report's weekly podcast. I'm John Stellman, along with John Adams. Hopefully next week we'll recall Vince Morales from the 10-day DL. He's currently not with us this evening, but we've got plenty of topics to talk about. I don't think we should have any trouble filling up the hour. As we usually do, we give you a lineup so you know just exactly where we're going and where we're coming from. We'll lead with the Lakers, who right now are red hot and got some big games coming up. LeBron comes in Sunday. That could be interesting. I'm sure we'd like to see how his quote-unquote former team looks, or future team looks. We'll talk about March Madness a little bit. The Pac-10, Pac-12 tourneys coming up. We've also got the UCI and Cal State Fullerton, Long Beach in their conference tournaments, the Big West. Talk about this Mountain West real quick. San Diego State has a big game down there against Fresno. Our soccer teams opened up the MLS season very successfully last weekend, both with wins and a couple of surprises there. Dodgers, Angels, they got together today. I think the Dodgers won that one 4-2 in a meaningless spring training game, but we'll update you on what's going on there as they prepare for the season opener, which is getting right on top of us. 16 games, 15 games left in the NHL season, and that race is getting awfully tight for the playoff positioning. We'll look at that a little bit. And the Rams, they continue to make off-season moves in an attempt to maybe take the next step. We'll look at some of the things that they've done and shoot that around a bit. But let's start off with the Lakers. They had a 5-game winning streak recently. In fact, 4 of those games were on the road, which is very impressive. And the 4th and final game of that win streak on the road was in San Antonio, which was really incredible. It was even done without Josh Hart or Brian Ingram. So they are playing very well right now, and I think there's a lot of hope. To be perfectly honest with you, this is the most excited I've been about with the Lakers in, 3 years. I mean, there's been nothing to look at the last 2 years, and this season we had hope at the beginning, but things kind of settled in. But now they are really finding their niche. I think everybody's figuring out what their roles are. Walton, I think, has done a magnificent job of managing that bench rotation. They're using a 7-8 man rotation, and everybody's getting their 15 to 20 to 25 minutes. I think the whole thing is really coming together. I think Magic and Rob should be very, very pleased with the way the team is finishing this season. And they play, I think they play tonight against
Miami, I think.
Miami tonight, and then Cleveland comes in Sunday, and that should be an interesting game, not only to Nance and Clarkson come home, but LeBron will be here. I'm sure he'll be a little bit interested to see how his perhaps future team is looking. Also, the difference it's made since our buddy Lonzo Ball came back. I never really knew how long it was going to take for him to really get into the swing of things and to be a force, to be an impact, to be an influence. But since he came off the injury, he has been spectacular. He has done everything that you could have hoped for. His scoring, his shooting is up. He hit clutch threes. His assists have been tremendous. And I think look, this is something LeBron's going to look at. I think he's going to like what he sees, the way Lonzo distributes the ball. So the game Sunday, I'm going to have to pin myself to the TV for that one, because I think that's going to be a game with a lot of implications. Not so much the winning and losing scores, but how the Lakers look, how they perform, the overall impression that they leave on LeBron.
Yeah, it's good. You know what I like about it right now is, it could have been kind of like the Dallas Mavericks of last year and kind of just folded and tried to work their way up to get in a nice pick. And there's no quit in these kids, which I like. And, it shows us how they can be successful. And that's because Lonzo, since his injury and coming back, is hitting a high 50% in
right.
threes. He's shooting the ball even from the floor well. We always knew he played great, pretty good defense, and he rebounds really well for his size for a point guard. So we always knew those things. But if he could shoot the ball, because at the very beginning, they were just letting him shoot, and he was terrible at 20-something%, right? Yeah. So now that he's starting to hit threes, it really opens up a lot more offense for everybody to go. I do like the way that they run their offense. Is you have to have a 7 or 8 man rotation going, because they're always playing that fast pace, and they could have won that game against Portland, but the rebounding was horrendous in the last 3 minutes of the game. So Portland got a lot of offensive rebounds coming down the stretch.
Yeah.
That was a closer game than what it ended up. And, obviously Damian went nuts and scored 39 against them and put on a show. But, I really like to see how things go here with Ingram being out for over a week with the injury. I think it's kind of funny that LA is starting to put up billboards around LA now about LA BRON, LeBron. So they're starting to do their, I don't know if it's an Academy Award thing, the three billboards or whatever. I think what's happened now is, there's been a streak here with the Lakers, and, obviously it's a big town, so there's always going to get the media attention, and there's been a drop off with Oklahoma. So now it's perking up a little bit with George and LeBron, and like you said, Sunday, if they put on a good show, without Ingram, I think that's going to really perk up some things with LeBron. But I like that there's been no quit, and I like that. I like to see that Lonzo is shooting the ball a little bit better, because for them to be successful, he will have to shoot the ball.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but overall, it's an exciting offense to watch, and when they win, especially here in Southern California, people go crazy about it. But
he has to shoot for a number. He's got to. They were dropping off of him before because they knew his shot was so terrible. You can't have one of these other guys being, two-teamed because nobody's guarding Lonzo.
Right.
On the 4-game road trip, the Kings, the Hawks, the Heat, and the Spurs, they averaged about 120 points a game.
Yeah.
So they're running up and down the court. The Magic wants showtime. He's getting something that's very close to that, and they're very energetic. Like you say, they need an 8 to 9 man rotation as much as they're running around, but they are very active. They're very energetic, very enthusiastic, and they're a young team that's learning. They're really learning.
Curious to see how Isaiah Thomas takes this also when LeBron comes to town. And does he want to put on a show and try to hog the ball a little bit to kind of tell them, like, hey, you guys made a mistake here? Because he's actually, he's fit in well with this whole system. So, and he really enjoys it. But I'm curious to see how Walton uses Isaiah Thomas on Sunday also in that offense.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see. But right now the Lakers are they're grabbing the headlines, and they're grabbing some attention. Like I say, I like the way they're finishing the season. You would hate to see them end on 13 losses out of their last 18 games, something like that. And now they're talking about, maybe 30, 31 wins, which, they blew away last year's record, and this is the best record they've had in the last 4 years. So I know it's a small step. We got a long way to go. We're not going to, win the championship next year. We're probably not going to make the playoffs unless they bring in a couple of free agents. But another thing on that side, the Thunder coming down the stretch are not really. They're struggling to make the playoffs. They're going to have 10 of their last 11 games are going to be against playoff-bound teams. Georgia's numbers are down. Everybody's talking about how. Harden left. Look what he's become. Durant left. Look what he's become. Westbrook. I don't know how much Westbrook helps his other superstar partners, because he likes to run up and down the court, throw it up there, see what happens. But the people that have left the Thunder have flourished and are playing much better and have better numbers since they got away from Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, it's his team, right? So he runs the offense how he wants to.
Right.
So even if you take him out of there and you go put him on another team, he's going to want to be the man. right?
Yeah.
So, it's really hard for the Thunder to actually put together a good mold and mix, and that's going to be the struggle. But again, he's just kind of like what Lonzo's going through. When he's hot, they win. If he's just throwing up a bunch of stuff and it's not going in, they're going to lose. Right. And, that's why you look at that Houston team, and that is a good molded team. They have shooters that are balanced. They have a great point guard that knows how to handle situations. They have big guys down low.
Right.
They can run with you. They can slow it down with you. They can do everything. I think, everybody's always talks about Golden State, but I'll tell you right now, I think the Houston might be the team to beat in the West.
Very well could be, and it's ironic because this is exactly the type of team that D'Antoni loves.
Exactly.
That's what he came from. He came from, Phoenix, which was a run, and this is he's got all the parts, all the pieces, all the ingredients, and this is the kind of team that he loves to coach. And they're I would not be shocked if Houston were to beat Golden State. Mm-hmm. I expect Golden State to win, but it would be no big surprise if the Rockets are very good.
Yeah,
the Rockets are extremely good. Take a quick look at March Madness. I know that we're a little bit ahead of ourselves here. The Pac-12 tournament is this weekend. We've got number 2 USC against Oregon State. Washington and wait a minute. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. SC's got a first-round bye. They'll play the Oregon State-Washington winner.
Right.
So SC and UCLA both have first-round byes. Mm-hmm. UCLA plays the Stanford-Cal winner.
And then Oregon's going right now, I think, right?
Yeah, Oregon
right now.
Yeah.
Or it's tonight, yeah.
And I don't see, there could be a ton of upsets in this tournament. I think other than Arizona.
Where's Arizona in this? They got to buy too, right?
They got to buy two.
They must play a winner of somebody.
Arizona plays, let's see, where is it here?
Oregon State, yeah. So Arizona's got to play somebody, a winner of somebody.
Yeah,
and by the way, that's a unique situation there too. Sean Miller put all his cards in and just kind of said, I didn't do anything wrong here.
Yeah, exactly.
And then ESPN stand behind the report. So in my mind, somebody big, it's going to go down, and it's going to be a big deal. So both of them got all their cards in, and they're playing poker, and I don't know how it's going, but that's a big situation, because if Sean Miller's wrong, he'll never get a job ever again.
Exactly.
And then if ESPN's wrong, that's going to be a nice healthy lawsuit that Arizona's going to beat him on, right? So it's kind of curious. I have a feeling it was quick, it happened, and now it's been put aside. Nobody's talking about it anymore.
Right.
So I'm just thinking that this is going through the tournament, and then after the tournament, it must be revisited again. But I'm curious to see how that goes. But I think UCLA has to get to the final game, and USC do too, to get to the tournament, I think. But it's interesting. It's like all the experts are not giving the Pac-12 any love at all.
No.
And they're telling us it's down, it's weak, it's not very good, or is it a pretty balanced league where everybody can beat everybody and it's not top heavy? So I'm curious to see how far, if a USC and a UCLA get in, obviously Arizona's going to get in, how far they go in this tournament. So I'm kind of on the other side. I'm like, hey, I think the Pac-12 is pretty good. Actually, well, I just think it's very balanced.
Actually, I think 10 of the 12 Pac-12 teams have winning records, not in conference, but overall.
Yeah,
I think there's 10 of them that winning. Before we get away from the Sean Miller thing, I noticed how quickly the board of trustees at Arizona came together, talked about the thing, settled it, and said, "You continue as coach." Mm-hmm. So that means a lot to me. I mean, if they had reasonable doubt or strong evidence that this did in fact transpire, I don't think he would be coaching now. I think they would have put him on suspension and let this thing.
So they had to do their own internal investigation there,
Yeah.
So
well, ESPN has been known to be wrong before. Mm-hmm. So and that could create a.
Hope they have good insurance.
Yeah, and that unit, that network is falling slowly but surely.
Yeah.
Now so let me check this out one more time. SC gets the Oregon State Washington winner, and UCLA gets the Cal Stanford winner. There was a note today that in the last four.
Sorry. Arizona State lost today to.
Somebody.
Arizona State lost. Whoever beat Arizona State, I'll think of it. I think Arizona plays them. The winner.
Yeah.
The winner of that. I'll think of it.
Once the in the last 4 Pac-12 tournaments finals, it's been number 1 against number 2. Everybody talks about all the upsets and equality, but the last 4 years it's always been 1-2, which would mean Arizona, USA.
Yeah, Utah. No, Colorado. Colorado beat Arizona State. So I think
it's going to be that way. I think there are going to be a lot of upsets, and I don't understand how a team like USC, who has 21 wins, they're in second place in a Power 5 conference. How can they be on the bubble for the 68th spot?
They're on the bubble to possibly get in the play-in game.
Yeah, 68.
Yeah. It's it almost reminds me of football, right? Is it just all East Coast? It's all about the ACC. It's all about the the Big 12. It's all about all that. It's all about that stuff. And again, it's always over here on the West Coast. They give us no love, right? And it's just. So that's what I'm wondering. It's just like, I'm reading about a bunch of experts like the Pac-10's terrible and it's weak and it's this and that. Well, maybe it's just a very balanced league.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying. If we go out and we lose 3 games out of the 3 teams they get in, or 2 out of the 3, then okay, I'll take you. We lost to Kent State or Illinois or whoever it is, right? Yeah. Then I'll take that, right? But if they win a game or win a couple, I'd kind of say,
let's reevaluate this.
Exactly. Stop getting off your high horse on the East Coast and, give us some love.
You watch Duke. It doesn't matter what Duke does. They can go right out in the tournament. They can end up, 7th or 8th or 9th, and they'll play 1 mile from home in the first round.
Oh, no doubt about it. Yep.
Raleigh or Durham.
And then these guys look at it. It's almost like the playoffs for football, right? These teams, the Wisconsins, the Michigans, these people travel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They know the Pac-12, they're terrible. They don't travel at all.
Yeah.
You might get some Arizona people that'll travel.
Yeah, I think so.
But again, other than that, the other Pac-12 teams, they don't travel, right? So it's a business also. You got to fill arenas and stuff like that. So that's probably another negative against the Pac-12 is, the love for their actual colleges.
Right.
They don't show that because on the West Coast, it's all about, there's so many distractions. We have football, basketball. When I say that, NBA,
right.
We have Major League Baseball now. And I was just down in spring training, and there's a lot of people from like San Francisco that are flying around there in their Giants stuff. I mean, it's just, it's, there's a lot of things here on the West Coast that take away from, back in Michigan, you're in snow.
Yeah, I was going to say, plus the good weather.
Right, exactly. So,
yeah, that's for sure. We'll just take a quick look. I know we try to cover everything in SoCal as much as we can. The Big West Tournament opens Thursday. We got number 3 Irvine against number 6 Hawaii, and then number 4 Cal State Fullerton against Long Beach State. That will be a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever Cal State Long Beach and Cal State Fullerton, no matter what it is, baseball, no more football, but baseball, basketball, that's a real rivalry, and that's going to be fun. UC Irvine really blew it down the stretch. They had a chance to tie for the title. They kind of finished on the wrong side of the road. I think they ended up 16-16 overall. But unfortunately, I think they did well with Hawaii. I think they'll be all right with Hawaii. And our neighbors out to the east, UC Riverside, get the conference champion UC Davis, which is not going to be fun. So we just want to mention that. We'll look at those results next week. Also, the Mountain West, our friends down in San Diego State, not one of their better seasons, 11-7. They play Fresno, which is the 4 seed. They're the 5th seed. They're also 11-7. But Fresno gets a tiebreaker because they won both the games between the two teams during the season.
I think San Diego State's actually, I looked at their record just recently. They've actually been playing very well their last 6 or 7 games.
Okay.
So they could actually, I know they've lost to Fresno a couple times, but they could actually beat them. They've shown that they can play with anybody because they beat Nevada, who's leading that
right,
league.
Did.
So
they did.
So it's been different since Steve, I forget Steve's last name. Fisher have left there. But I think
no relation to Jeff.
Yeah, right, yeah. I think they're actually playing pretty good basketball right now. So it wouldn't surprise me if they make a small little run there in the tournament.
Yeah, I'd like to see them. Get to the semis or conference finals. That would be kind of fun because, like you say, they have finished well, and they've got a lot of. I think some proud seniors on that team that have gone 4 years and would love to go out with a nice little trophy to hang on to. One more thing on the colleges. Last Saturday was the West Coast tournament. That's the Gonzaga, St. Mary's. Those two teams are going to.
Yeah,
that's going to be a great.
BYU beat UCSD, but then Gonzaga went and beat them by like 20. So
beat who?
BYU last night. Yeah,
Gonzaga St. Mary's is going to be a great.
It always is. That's one of the small college games. Well, I consider it small because of St. Mary's more. Gonzaga's shown that they can play with anybody big, But it's usually in small little arenas.
Right.
You really got the crowd around you.
Yeah.
And that's actually, like you said, it's actually St. Mary's is always kind of a little Achilles heel to Gonzaga.
Yeah.
These games are not won by 20. They're, won by 3 or 4. Yeah. So that's always, like you said, especially when it's in St. Mary's, it's a great atmosphere in that building.
Yeah. And in fact, ironically, St. Mary's beat Gonzaga at Spokane.
Yeah, exactly. They did it earlier this year.
Gonzaga won down here, but still, St. Mary's can hang with them. So Gonzaga better not take that too much for granted because they'll be in for a dogfight if those two teams reach the conference tournament championship final. I sure hope they do because that's a game that's a game I'd love to watch as well. MSL, Major League Soccer, opened this weekend. And we've got, of course, the Galaxy and a new expansion team, the LA Football Club. They both got off to good starts. I was glad to see that. As usual, the Galaxy packed StubHub, 25,000 plus, and did not disappoint. I think I got some other notes here on that game. They won that game, I think, 2-1. Yeah, 2-1.
Yep, 2-1. Yeah, Galaxy. Yeah.
2-1 against Portland. Ola Canamera scored first, and Asendrina scored the second goal. They won that game 3-1. But last year, this has been a nightmare. They were 3-5-9 at home last year, and that has to change if you want to play for the MLS Cup. You've got to protect your home turf. You've got to. You can't disappoint the home folks. You've got to play your best soccer, and they certainly played well in the opener. And I was glad to see 25,462. So that's probably a Charger crowd.
Yeah, exactly. They're getting the. I think they're always going to get the fans to come. It's a big Hispanic area where the stadium is. They're all into soccer. Soccer's still really big here in Southern California.
It sure is, yeah.
And I mean, it's so big that you're able to put in another soccer team or football club, however you want to put it. 6 miles down the road or 7 miles down the road.
And they've sold out their season tickets.
Okay, so and I've been hearing a lot of things about this. It's right next to USC.
Right.
And this stadium, stadium is actually state of the art. They're talking, well, they got the celebrity behind them. They got the Will Ferrells behind them, Mia Hamm's behind it, and they got a lot of people to come out. Colin Cowherd actually bought season tickets to it, and he said this place is absolutely phenomenal. They've got restaurants and bars throughout. The suites are phenomenal,
right?
And it's gonna be very successful. And I think they went and signed the number 1 Mexican soccer player to be their number 1 guy, and they go out and win their first match 1-0. And I'm interested in possibly going to check it out. I'd like to go to a game
I'd like to see
and
that,
check it out.
That stadium's supposed to be phenomenal. And
And I don't know, is that something that was kind of built also for the Olympics? Is that something that's going to be used, I think, for the Olympics?
I'm not sure about
in
that.
what, 2028, I think it is, or something like that. So.
Yeah, 2028. And that opening win was no gimme. I mean, the Seattle Sounders are a premier power, perennial power. They lost to Toronto 1-0 in the finals last year,
right.
And they've won their share of MLS Cup.
Well, the Pacific Northwest has been phenomenal in soccer, and even. One of the things is the fan base is with Portland and Seattle is absolutely
it's incredible.
Yeah, it's huge. The chanting, the singing, they take that Premier Soccer League and they put it into their passion for their soccer, and that's the thing that needs to happen. With this MLS stuff is they've got to take that almost like it's almost like a religion, like it is in the Premier Soccer League,
right?
To make it almost a religion for your soccer club also. And hopefully they're doing a lot of marketing to do that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's a very good start and hopefully continues.
They, Seattle draws 50,000, 60,000 people.
Yeah.
Every game.
Well, they do a deal. I don't know if you've ever experienced or even seen it on YouTube, but I was up there for work one time and they told me about a mile or it's about maybe 3/4 of a mile is the actual downtown Seattle, right? And they all the fans meet in a certain area and they lock arms and hundreds of them kind of march down this road to the very beginning of the stadium.
Oh, that's cool.
And they sing and chant and do all this kind of stuff. And they do it, I don't know, it's like 45 minutes before game time.
Wow.
And so there is a big passion for that because the Mariners aren't giving it to them, right?
That's
so
for sure,
But it's a cool thing, and I don't. And same thing with Portland. Portland is done well. I've talked to a friend from Canada. He says they've really engulfed the Toronto team in Toronto. They've really backed that squad there. So good. I mean, when I was a kid, soccer was really big. I used to support the San Diego Sockers and there was the New York Celtic or New York, but I mean it was big back then, and then it just faltered off. So I'm glad to see that we do a big there's a lot of youth soccer going on in Southern California, let alone on the Western United States. So I'm glad to see that there's kids being passionate to watch it at the professional level too.
They're you're talking about they're not going to get any love from the Mariners this year. Their beloved Seahawks didn't make the playoffs this year. So
that's true. But football's football. They're always
that's true.
The 12-man thing is always going to.
And I see where Seattle is now trying to change the subject, but trying to get an NHL.
Well, good.
Expansion teams.
Nice.
They're going to redo the Key Arena, which is why the Sonics left, Supersonics.
Yeah.
And that would be a nice add to their landscape. So we look forward to the soccer season, and I'd love to see both these teams in the playoffs. It'd be fun if they played each other in the playoffs.
And just talk about local stuff. San Clemente High School is going to play in the semifinals, I think, of the state championship.
Soccer.
They lost in the semifinals of CIF in a I don't know how you want to say it. It was
shootout?
Extreme shootout. It's like they went through 11 guys or 11 guys, and then they had to go to another shootout. So then they had to start pulling guys off the bench to go, and they lost to Cathedral in downtown LA. And then Cathedral ended up losing to Santa Barbara in the finals in a shootout also. But San Clemente won the coin flip probably. It was a coin flipper is a kind of pick from the board of who should go to be that, and they actually went and they beat a team in San Diego 3-0 or 2-0 2 days ago. And now they're going Thursday. They're playing up in Santa Barbara. They're playing the CIF champions.
Is this the finals or semis?
No, this is a semis. Yeah, for state.
Well, good luck.
So
good luck to them.
So they're still going. Yeah.
So. Tom's not here, but I see his Pacifica girls soccer team. They lost in their finals, CIF finals, when their lead scorer, their top scorer, was unable to play. They lost that game 3-1. But they are in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think Scsr here is in Santa Margarita are still going in the women's.
Yeah, they're in the playoffs, so that's good to see.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember when my boys were growing up, they both played soccer. They loved soccer. It was a fun game and a lot of action, and I really enjoyed watching it. Dodgers and Angels still in Arizona, preparing for the season. I think the Dodgers came away today 4-2 with a win in Tempe. I don't look at the scores as much as I look at the pitching. When I look at the paper in the morning, I'm still one of those old school guys that reads the morning paper. I always look to the little section which recaps the pitching. And as long as nobody's getting hurt, everybody's pitching well, I really don't care too much about what the score is. Richards pitched, started today. I heard he struck out 4 guys in the first 2 innings, but he was down 1-0 after 2. I didn't hear any more about how that finished. But Kershaw pitched for the Dodgers. But so far for the Angels, everything's good.
Yeah,
everything's good. They've got 8 legitimate, healthy starters. And the thing that I'm kind of surprised about is nobody's talking about Parker Bridwell.
Yeah.
This is the guy they picked up, that Epler stole from Baltimore last July. The guy was 10-3 down the stretch. He had an ERA of under 3. He's pitched well this spring. He's not even getting a mention as one of the top 6 guys.
Yeah, I think they're probably trying to keep that. They don't want to get that out because I actually have a feeling that Shoemaker's probably going to go into the bullpen. I just don't see him. He's not fooling anybody anymore, And I think a guy like Bridwell is a perfect example to replace him.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if it's just a seniority thing that they gotta let Shoemaker show himself. That he doesn't have it anymore. I don't know if it's somebody they can give him away as trade. If somebody, like I think Tampa Bay just had a guy go down with Tommy John.
They're talking about a 4-man rotation now.
Right. Yeah. So, and I'm starting slowly but surely to start to believe this 6-man rotation.
Well, I love it.
If you got depth to do it, it's only going to keep these guys' arms from really getting hurt. know. And what's great about it is you're like, a guy goes down. Okay, you're a 5-man rotation. That's still okay.
I've loved it from the start.
So, I think what we're finding out is Ohtani's getting to see what Major League Baseball pitching's all about.
Right.
And I'm curious to see how his next outing is. He's only pitching on the backfields right now.
Right.
And he's going to pitch another, like he's facing Tijuana's baseball team or something like that.
That's going to be at Tempe, and that's going to be a free game for the fans.
Right. So again, he faced major league hitters for the first time, and it was flat, and he got hit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
His next outings have been on the backfields against guys that are trying to make ball clubs. Right.
Exactly.
And and then you're getting wows like, oh yeah, he struck out 8 out of 12, and he's doing this. Well, I think what they're trying to do is like, hey, kid, you're going to have to throw that cut fastball a little bit more than you think because your regular fastball is flatter than flat, and you're going to you can't do that here, right? So, but I think he's starting to see pitches breaking off of walls and tables, and Kershaw made him look like an idiot today on the curveball, but still I think he's only got 2 hits out of 12 at bats or 14 at bats. So, like the source that we talked to who knew the Japanese, been on the Japanese coaching staff for the Japanese national team, he's a pitcher. He's not a hitter.
Yeah.
And it's kind of showing that way.
Yeah.
So, I hear he's pretty impressive in batting practice, but that's batting practice.
That's batting practice. I just lost my train of thought. Anyway, they're trying to bring him along slowly because he only made 5 starts last year.
Yeah, no, and that's fine. I'm fine with it. But
still, he's going to have to face major league pitchers.
You're going to have to, he's going to have to face major league hitters. But if maybe it's a confidence builder, like he's trying to just build his confidence back up because his first outing was kind of ugly. So I have no problem with what they're doing. 1, he's getting innings in. 2, it's a great place to actually learn how to pitch, right? Maybe he probably said, I'm fine, and he goes out and throws flat fastballs and he gets killed. Then they're kind of saying, I told you so. So let's now learn how to pitch, which means you're going to have to throw the ball at a cut fastball. He throws a cut fastball, so curveball's always been pretty good. So I know he's just going to have to learn to adapt from what he's used to what it's all about with the major leagues. So
And I see that Andrew Haney has pitched 5 scoreless innings so far.
Yeah, no, he looks great, you know. And I haven't seen what Skaggs have done. Have you seen Skaggs?
He's been roughed up a little bit.
Has he?
But nothing really serious.
Yeah,
He hasn't. Tropiano's throwing shutouts.
Right.
I don't know where they're going to. I think they're going to have a hard time cutting it down to 6. I'm with you. Shoemaker was great in 2014, and he hasn't shown anything since.
You know, it's kind of like how we watched Weaver just kind of disintegrate.
Yeah, I think he would be the first guy out.
Yeah. Or use him in a trade. Try to get a minor leaguer that's, you can get that's, into a trade. So
well, I heard coming in today that, like I said a minute ago, Tampa's talking about a 4-man rotation because that's all they have. They only have 4 starting pitchers.
Yeah.
And
you can't do that. You're going to kill
yourself. They can give you, they should be able to give you, somebody for Shoemaker.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That player to be named later.
Exactly.
I know you mentioned something about Kemp, Kemp's, doing okay down in...
His numbers in the spring are phenomenal.
Yeah. But I don't know if we talked about this, but the guy lost 40 pounds.
Exactly.
And then he says he needs to lose another 10. How fat was he? I mean, really, how fat was he? He lost 40 pounds, and he says in an interview right when he gets to spring training, I got to lose another 10. And I'm like, wow, was he like the panda there in San Francisco? And was he that big?
Pregnant with 10.
Yeah, no kidding. But again, that's a perfect example. If you're showing anybody that's in the majors that's maybe a little bit overweight and you need to keep an eye on them, this is a good example of, he's healthy, and if he could just play defense.
He's got 3 home runs. His OPS is 1,000 something, and he's batting over 300. He'd be a perfect DH fit in the American League.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, perfect. That'd be a great place for him because.
Is he the 4th outfielder? Is that what they're kind of saying?
I don't think he's the 4th. I think he's the 5th. Might be the 5th because we're gonna. There's so many guys. You got Puig. You got Turner.
Taylor
rather.
Yeah.
And Tolles, Peterson.
Yeah, but if you're hitting the baseball, Peterson doesn't hit the baseball. But he's good defensively.
Yeah.
That's where he takes himself above Kemp. Is they'd rather play more defense.
Yeah.
So they'll put Tolles in there, and maybe if you got a nasty lefty, I don't know, Tolles switch hitter or forget, or you think he's a little lefty.
I think so.
Yeah. So he could play against a right-handed guy. So I don't know. I'm interested to see how this whole thing finishes out. Actually, Vince and I will be out there. March 23rd, 24th to watch some spring training baseball.
Well, that'd be good.
So I also saw this morning that Moustakas has still not found a team.
No.
And Boros is saying that he might not start anywhere by opening day.
Neither is Arrieta.
Yeah, Arrieta's the same way, yeah. Arrieta's stupid. He's got to take that money. They offered the same money that they offered the guy that came from the Dodgers. Darvish. They offered him the same exact money, and he said no.
Well, I think he's going to have a hard time finding anything.
Because Tampa's not going to pay that money.
No, better than that.
Yeah.
I'm having a meltdown here.
That's right.
We're talking about pitching. Yeah. Darvish had a nice game against the Dodgers.
Yeah, he looked pretty good. Again, Darvish has always been pretty good during the season. It's what you do in the playoffs.
That's true.
Verlander's going to get the opening day start. So in Houston,
right?
They
that's not
that.
Yeah.
So, but
coming in, I also heard listening to Roger Lodge. He was talking to his baseball guy from I forgot where he's from, but he was saying that. The Angels might be good. You always need pitching, and you're not going to go for the Arrietas, that type of guy. But this Lance Lynn and what's the other guy's name that's out there? I forgot the other guy. There's another guy out there too, same type of. But those might be guys that you could bring in. Just they're second tier guys.
Yeah, Lance Lynn was very successful with St. Louis.
Yeah,
so,
and I can't remember the other guy they mentioned. But it might be nice just to bring in a second tier guy as a
just in case guy. Yeah.
Never have enough pitching.
Yeah.
Never have enough pitching.
Sure.
Yep. I'm going to be out. In fact, I won't be here next week. I'm going to be out in. We've got to go to Tucson, and then we're going to drop off in Peoria next Saturday, a week from Saturday, and see the Angels and
San Diego or Seattle?
Seattle.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm kind of hoping that maybe Ohtani will either hit or pitch.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
That'll be fun though. The Dodgers seem to be all right. Seager's still a little banged up.
Yeah.
He's getting to develop into an injury situation that Kershaw's had the last 2 or 3 years, where something always seems to slow him down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll be ready.
I know that Roberts, because they go all the way to the World Series, right? And it goes all the way to Game 7. I know that Roberts and the Dodgers have been very cautious on how much their veterans actually play. So I think it's a smart move.
Yeah,
so
I don't think they should.
Allows them to look at more people too.
Plus, they don't. I mean, you know what these guys can do, and they know what they can do.
Yeah.
They need. You don't need 6 weeks.
I mean, really, if you go all the way to Game 7 in a World Series, I mean, you blink your eyes and spring training's here.
Exactly. Yeah. Even back when I was covering the Angels, and this was centuries ago, even there the players said, 3, maybe 4 weeks is plenty.
Yeah.
Plenty. I mean, you don't need 6 weeks. 6 weeks is way beyond. They're starting the season early this year too. March, last week in March.
Well, we're going to be, so we'd be like but is that for a freeway series? Or
No, I think the regular season starting maybe the last weekend in March.
Last weekend in March, because we're out there the 23rd, 24th, so it must be the following weekend after that.
Somebody was saying today, I heard that that's not going to bode well for the East Coast.
Yeah, it's cold. Yep, it's cold and snowy.
In fact, one guy said that it's warmer in the first week of November than it is the last week in March in the East Coast.
If I'm right, there's a lot of East Coast teams that start on the road.
Well, they should.
Yeah. So all of those teams start on the road. So
they should start the first month of the season in California and Arizona.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because Colorado can get snowy too. Even Colorado and.
Oh yeah. I'm surprised. So
Minnesota's outdoors. I mean, you're right. It could get brutal.
It could be.
I was talking to upstate New York yesterday, and it's got a foot of snow.
We started a season one year in Chicago against the White Sox. It was snowing.
Yeah.
It was just wonderful. Let's get into the NHL.
All right.
The Ducks and Kings are still battling for playoff positioning. Ducks are playing very well right now. They had a great win last night against the Washington Caps, 4-0. That was impressive. They've got to carry that over and do something. Put together a string of games. Put together a string of games. Right now, as of I checked the standings before I came in today, 9. I think it's 16 games left, 15 games left. 9 games between number 4 and number 11. Number 4 Minnesota, 9 points. Number 4 Minnesota is 83 points. Number 11 Calgary is 74. So 9 points separating number 4 from number 11. The Ducks have moved up to 6th with 80 points. The Kings are 8th with 77 points. Kings are actually tied with Colorado, but they win the tiebreaker. They've got one more victory. But it is just a logjam there, and this last 2 weeks of the NHL season is going to be like playoff hockey.
Oh,
it's going to be like playoff hockey.
And at a point, I kind of want to be there. You know what I mean? I want to be that team that's having to play under the gun because it just prepares you for the playoffs, right? And the Kings the Ducks they're healthy now, right? And Gibson's playing the best hockey he's ever played, right? I think he's got the most wins he's ever had.
Yes.
And his statistics are through the roof. The third and fourth line are playing good hockey, and it's just getting to the point where, they've got everybody around the net, and they're just throwing the puck on the net and just trying to get rebounds. And the Kesslers are pushing people around, and they're working their way into playing great hockey going into the playoffs.
Yeah,
and
that's what you want.
And you even got Miller as a backup goalie that's doing a great job. So everything's clicking the way that you want to click. They're getting out to quick leads. They're beating quality teams. I mean, that was a good win against Washington. It was great to watch them beat Chicago up.
Oh, your wife
with my wife. So yeah, I kind of watched that game by myself. But it's good. But again, how do we play against these Minnesotas and the St. Louis's and all these other, the Calgarys and all these other guys coming down the stretch is going to be key. You can't afford to have any lulls from this point on. It's either you're here to play into the playoffs or you're not. And it's kind of interesting how the Kings have actually started to falter. They were hotter than a pistol,
right?
And they're faltering. Now we were terrible because we were not 100% healthy,
injured, yeah.
And now we are. And again, that's what you're wanting to do. You're starting to get these younger kids that are understanding what's going on, and Kase's playing good hockey. I mean, these guys they're all playing together, and everything's starting to click, and that's what you want going into the playoffs.
It was just opposite from last year. Last year, the Ducks got off like 22-1 or something,
right.
and then fumbled down the stretch, and the Kings were the 8th seed and get into the playoffs, or a couple of years ago, and win the whole thing. Yeah, I'd much rather be hot at the end than at the beginning.
Yeah, and Winnipeg's playing great hockey too. So
Winnipeg is dangerous.
They're a dangerous team. Yeah.
The team
Nashville's Nashville. They're playing great again.
They're up there, right?
But again, like you said, a team like Winnipeg. I mean that they can wipe that whole place out. I mean, they got great fans. I mean, that's the only team they have.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
So they got great support up there too. So they're fast and quick, and they play great hockey. They're a team to worry about.
Vegas is kind of
so is that catching up to them, right?
Yeah,
so that's one thing I'd have to do some research. Is I don't know how many of those guys have actually been in the playoffs. You got Getzloff and Perry and Kessler and Fowler. These guys have played a lot of playoff hockey. So they got a lot of games in the NHL, and that experience with youth is going to help. I really don't know what Vegas has got now. They score the puck, ain't no doubt about it, right? And they got a good goalie that's been in the playoffs.
Yeah,
he's been there, he's done it all, right? But how does the third and fourth line? What are these guys? Have they ever been there? So that's it's right. It's almost like we're trying to reel them in. We're trying to reel them in. So it should be interesting.
The one thing the Ducks have to get away from is I don't want to see any more overtime losses or shootout losses where you get 1 point. They lead the league in that. They've got 12 overtime losses, either a shootout or extra.
And then stupid mistakes that almost. I mean, I watched it last night. Or was it last night against Washington, where Richie goes and gets a stupid penalty with 1 minute and 25 or 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in the period. And there you are on a power play going into that can just change the whole momentum of a hockey game.
Yeah.
So just like little stupid things like that, you just got to stay away from that stuff. That's where, you got to go up to him and say, that was unnecessary. What are you doing? And that could just, here we are up 2-0 with momentum going our way, and we almost maybe leaving the first period up 2-1 because of a stupid mistake like that.
Right.
So we're known for having leads and then giving it away there with the last 2 minutes of a period, a game, whatever, and then losing in overtime.
Yeah, they've got
you got to be able to finish.
If they just won half those games, that'd be 6 more points. It'd be right.
No doubt. Yep.
Well, talking about that, stupid penalties. I guess Doughty really pulled one of the most ridiculous. Scenarios of his career in a very meaningful game, and cost him the game against the Blackhawks. Mm-hmm. 2 penalties right on top of each other, and he's a veteran guy that's been there, done that.
He should know better.
Should know better.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely should know better. So it'll be interesting down the stretch. See how the NHL playoffs pan out. The Rams continue to go through their makeover mode in the offseason. I see that today they franchise tagged Lamarcus Joyner, which is that's probably a good move, but now that leaves Sammy Watkins open to free agency.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just, for me, sometimes, wide receivers almost like a dime a dozen, right? You can always find another guy.
Yeah,
Watkins really only did all his stuff down the field, right? But they were very successful with their slots and the good route runners. Like we experienced, those defenses were keeping them in ball games. And getting Peters is a great pickup, right? And then I think they're doing the right thing, because I think there's going to be free agent wide receivers that they're going to be able to go after and get. So but it's Aaron Donald that you just got to be able to keep. That's the centerpiece of your defense, right? And then build around that. And I think that guy deserves what he's supposed to get paid. And Marcus Peters could have gone anywhere he wanted, probably, and he picked there because he kind of sees that that's a fun defense to play for. So, that's good. I mean, I don't know if you watched any of the combine. I didn't watch too much of it, but what was interesting is how Sam didn't throw. Right. He just went to go do all the testing stuff, and the kid from UCLA, Rosen, did throw, and he threw horrendously. And they're saying sometimes that that the kid from Wyoming kind of slid up ahead of him. Yeah. But I don't know. You just never know. But
Darnold wants to go out and throw it pro day at USC to his receivers he's comfortable with.
Yeah,
but why? I mean,
what is that going to?
What's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
Is he taking all those receivers with him to the NFL?
Right, exactly. You didn't know. It's not like you put them in your back pocket.
Yeah.
But it's almost like it helped him by not throwing. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Right. As of now. Right.
Right.
So. Yeah. Interesting to see how it goes. But there's going to be probably 5, 6 quarterbacks gone.
Yep.
By probably the end of the second round, early third round.
Yep. Yeah, it should be.
So.
Well, let's see now. What they sent Quinn to Miami.
Yes.
He's a linebacker.
Yeah.
They could. And they could lose Tremaine Johnson, who's a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
So their secondary may need a little bit of rebuilding. I don't know who else. I don't think they have any other real critical free agents. But like you say, the main, we can't have another year like last year with Darnold.
Right.
I mean that was just. I mean that was ridiculous, and I mean everybody knows how valuable he is. I don't know. What the holdup is or why they're diddling around with it. Just put them in a room, set them down, lock the door,
right,
and you don't come out till you're signed. I mean that's about the size of it.
Right.
I think that's about. We're gonna be a little bit short today, but
okay.
that's all right. We don't have Vinny with us, and Vinny would be good for 6 or 7 minutes. I see that something I saw today. USC. We had misdemeanor charges brought up against
wide receiver
Lewis, Joseph Lewis IV, arrested last month on suspicion of domestic violence. 5 occurrences between February 5th and February 12th. What are these guys thinking about? I mean,
well, that's the problem. They're not.
They're
not thinking.
It's just beyond me. I mean, these are grown men. You think you have a little bit more responsibility, but then again. We weren't there. We don't know.
Right.
Could be he said, she said type of situation.
Yeah, it'll be probably one of these things where they'll slap his hand and he'll be okay. But if he does it again, he'll get in trouble. But again, I guess we'll believe it once the legal system takes handle of it. So. I thought that we started with the Lakers. We finished with the Lakers. I got a couple of things here I didn't get a chance to get into. Last 25 games, 17-8. Mm-hmm.
Which is a nice little run.
One of the hottest teams in the NBA.
I think that's number 2, the second best record. Yeah. They were 8-4 in January, 7-3 in February, and I think they're 2-1 in March. 19 games left. 11 at home, 9 on the road. If they could go 13-6. I don't think they could do that. They could get right to where they want to be.
And that's the way that they're playing basketball. That looks like it's going to be easy to do.
Well,
but, we'll see how they play against teams down the stretch, though.
I'd love to have Josh Hart. I guess he is out for the year, isn't he?
Yeah.
Love to have him back, and he. Actually, the injuries worked out well for him because he earned himself some minutes.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the bench pretty much first half of the season. You never heard about him.
And then they're going to have to bring guys up from the G League. So, I mean, it allows these guys to get some experience and for Magic and the guys to kind of see some more players, and work on the depth of the bench.
Especially, I think I'm glad to see that the kids are getting the minutes they are because they'll develop that much faster.
Right.
They're learning that much faster. They're getting accustomed to each other. The chemistry's better. I'm glad Lonzo's back. All due respects to Vince. And it has been nice not hearing from LeVar. We haven't heard anything from him.
Try to keep a microphone away from him.
Yeah, but I'm glad to see that Lonzo is shooting the ball better. I don't know if he's shooting it better, just scoring it better. But
right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is unique.
I don't think he's ever going to change.
But Adrian Dantley had an interesting, really, and so did Jamal Wilkes. So
yeah, exactly.
I can't. Jim Furyk has an interesting golf swing, but he's great at impact.
Yeah, as long as you get the ball in the hole, that's all that matters. And like I say, I haven't been this enthusiastic about the Lakers in a long time. I'm interested to see what develops in the free agency, and I'd love to see them. They're very well positioned for 2 max players. I'd love to see them get 2 max players. I think George might be, like I said before, a little discontented with the way the Thunder are playing right now. They're kind of scratching and scraping, and if they were to fall out of the playoffs, I think it'd be LA, here I come.
Mm-hmm.
But his numbers are down this year, and I think that's direct respect to Westbrook, who likes to take a lot of shots. And we've seen how well, like I said before, how well Harden and Durant played once they got out of OKC. So maybe. And, LeBron wants somebody with him, so if you can bring LeBron...
Well, you're going to have to bring somebody with LeBron.
Yeah, he won't come.
Yeah.
It might even be a situation where you have to sign George first.
Right.
And then,
I think that's exactly probably how it's going to go.
Yeah.
He's going to want to see what you're going to do for him.
Yeah, but I'd love to see that happen, and I think the Lakers could get back to contending quicker than we think. I mean, I'm really pleasantly surprised by how well this young team has developed, how quickly they've developed. We knew the talent was there, the potential was there, but they've acclimated themselves to this league, and they've really come together. And you bring in 2 guys like LeBron and George. I think that's a playoff team.
What we're not talking about is the Clippers got a chance to make the playoffs.
They do.
They've got a good chance of making the playoffs. So, if you're telling Doc that he was going to lose Griffith and these guys and Paul and Chris Paul and JJ Redick, and he was going to get a bunch of guys that were just kind of gel together and make it happen, and you're on the bubble to get in the playoffs, he'd be ecstatic.
Yeah.
And so, kudos to the Clippers for, hanging in there and being able to contend and possibly jump into the playoffs. So
it'd be great to see, like you say, as much as they have lost, the players that they've lost, and to stay, to stay in the hunt, to stay in the fight, not to give up, not to quit.
Exactly.
It'd be great to see them jump in there. All right, John, if you don't have any golf that you...
No, well, you got just kind of getting up there. The Masters is going to be the first week of April, so that's kind of like world nationwide when golf starts.
That's right. Yeah,
so we got our first major coming up. So
that'll be exciting.
I'll be out in Austin for the match play, so in a couple weeks. So I'll be out there for work, but you're going to start to see a lot of commercials on the Masters here coming up.
It's going to be fun, that's one tournament I always
It was very exciting last week to watch Phil win.
Oh, yeah.
That he still can do it.
It's been 5 years.
Justin Thomas, what he did, 4 years.
4 years.
Justin Thomas, what he did on the weekend was just sensational. He shoots 16 under and holds an iron shot out from like 140 yards to actually get in the playoff. Is down in Mexico, heard the tournament's run exceptionally well. Golf course doesn't look that easy, but it's very, very narrow.
You got to be straight.
But you got to be really straight, but you got to learn how to deal with the altitude. The ball flies there.
Yeah.
So these guys were hitting pitching wedges like 165 yards, 170 yards. So it's crazy. So, but it was great for Phil. It's great for golf to see Phil win because he's he's got a bunch of fan base. So very happy for him and his brother Tim that's on the bag to pull off the victory. So kudos to them. So it was good. It was a good weekend for golf too.
Yeah, I love Phil. He's one of the good guys, and I always like to see him do well.
Yep.
All right, I think that'll do it until next week. I'm done. You're done.
We're out.
We are out.
Peace.